Welcome back to Andy and Anna Talks, where we sip coffee and drink truth. I'm Andy.
And I'm Anna.
In today's deep dive, we're tackling something pretty fascinating. Can AI really feel emotions? Or is it all just a very sophisticated act?
Yeah, it's a big one.
You know, with AI like ChatGPT becoming so, well, everywhere, firing off responses that seem genuinely empathetic,
Yeah.
it makes you wonder, right? Is there more going on under the hood than just code?
Absolutely. It really gets to the core of what we think makes us human, our feelings. You see an AI say something like, I understand this must be difficult for you, and, well, it's easy to feel something.
The connection, maybe.
Exactly. But the real question we need to dig into is that feeling actually happening on the AI's side? Or is it more about us, our human tendency to look for empathy everywhere?
Right. Okay, so let's cut to the chase then. When ChatGPT tells me it understands my frustration,
Mm.
is it feeling understanding like my friend would? Or is it something else entirely?
Well, right now, with the AI we currently have, the answer is maybe a little disappointingly no. These models, they're incredibly impressive, no doubt, but they work on totally different principles than we do.
Different how?
They just don't have the biological machinery, no nervous system, no hormones flying around, no actual body experiencing the world. That's the stuff we believe is fundamental to human emotion.
Okay, so if it's not feeling, then what exactly is happening when we get those responses that feel so understanding? Let's unpack that.
Okay, think of it like this. Imagine a parrot, but like an unbelievably advanced one. And it's been trained on, well, practically every human conversation ever recorded or written.
Okay, a super parrot. Got it.
So when you express some kind of emotion, the AI dives into this massive library, finds patterns, language patterns, that humans typically use in response to that emotion in similar situations.
I see.
And then it generates a response based on essentially statistical probability. What's the most likely empathetic thing to say next?
So it's not grasping my specific emotional state, but it's seen this pattern millions of times before in how humans talk. It's basically mimicking what empathy looks like.
Precisely. It's simulating emotion, not actually experiencing it. Think about, say, a beautiful painting of a sunset versus actually being there watching the sunset.
Right.
The painting might make you feel something, maybe calm or nostalgic, but the paint and canvas, they aren't feeling the sunset's serenity. AI is kind of like the painting in this scenario.
It generates language that hits our emotional buttons, but there's no internal subjective thing
Yeah.
happening inside the AI itself.
Exactly. No internal state, which is why it's crucial to remember the difference. It's like a character in a novel, maybe.
Oh, that's a good analogy. Yeah, a really well-written character can make you cry or laugh, but the character on the page isn't feeling a thing.
That's it. And we don't usually mistake fictional characters for real people with real feelings. We should try to keep that same perspective with AI, at least for now.
Okay, but then what about consciousness?
Yeah.
That whole messy subject. Even for humans, we can barely define it. Could AI have some kind of basic awareness we don't recognize? And could that lead to feelings?
The million-dollar question, isn't it? It's incredibly complex.
Like when ChatGPT says, as an AI, I don't have feelings. Is that genuine self-awareness or just another line it learned?
The consensus right now is that it's learned, it's part of its programming, its training data. It knows that's the correct way to describe itself based on how humans talk about it.
So not introspection.
No, not like we understand it. Think back to that super parrot. It could be taught to say, I am a parrot, but does it understand parrotness? Probably not. The I it uses is just a placeholder, a linguistic tool, not a sign of a self-reflecting on its own existence.
Okay, so even when it seems self-aware, it's still just processing and spitting back patterns.
Right.
No real feelings then. But AI is getting undeniably better at, well, reacting to our emotions in ways that feel pretty meaningful. Is there a danger maybe in focusing only on the does it feel question and missing this rise of simulated emotional intelligence?
Absolutely. That's a really important point. Its ability to recognize our emotional cues and respond appropriately, that's a huge deal. Think about customer service bots.
Yeah.
If it can tell you're frustrated from your typing style or word choice and then shifts its approach to be more helpful, that is a kind of emotional intelligence, even if there's no feeling behind it.
It's like a really skilled actor, maybe? Someone who can play sad or angry convincingly enough to make the audience feel it, even if the actor isn't feeling it themselves at that moment.
Exactly. A great analogy. And that ability to mimic empathy can be incredibly powerful. Maybe it's a support chatbot talking someone through a tough time. Even if the AI's comforting words aren't real in the feeling sense, they might still genuinely help the person feel heard or validated. But this also leads to what some people call the scary truth.
Which is?
The risk that we start projecting too much onto these interactions, that we start believing the simulation is real.
Yeah, I've definitely seen people online saying things like, ChatGPT really gets me. It feels like we're almost programmed ourselves to look for connection. And AI is getting good at pushing those buttons, even if it's an illusion.
That's absolutely key. Our brains are wired for social bonding, right? We look for understanding, for empathy, and AI is becoming expert at faking those signals.
Faking might be a strong word, but simulating.
Simulating, yes. It triggers those connection responses in us. But we have to remember what's actually happening. Someone described current AI as basically autocomplete on steroids.
Haha, okay, I like that.
It's just incredibly good at predicting the next word, the next phrase that fits the emotional context, but there's no feeling driving it, no internal emotional state.
It feels like we're sometimes so desperate for connection, we'll see it anywhere,
Yeah.
even in an algorithm.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder about the future. Okay, current AI doesn't feel fine, but could future AI, like way more advanced AI, could it develop consciousness,
Yeah.
real emotions? How would we even know if it did?
That steps right into deep philosophical territory. If AI did somehow develop consciousness, it might not look anything like ours. How would a machine express an inner life? How can
Yeah.
we possibly tell if it was genuine feeling or just an even better simulation?
Like,
Yeah.
is the light on inside if we can't see it? If an AI has an internal experience, but we have no way to verify it, does it count? Does it feel in a way that matters to us?
Yeah, it's like the ultimate philosophical Turing test, maybe?
Right.
Just passing for human, acting like it has feelings. That doesn't automatically mean it does.
Right.
Intelligence processing information, solving problems, which AI is amazing at. That's very different from consciousness, from subjective experience. Those are still huge mysteries, even in us. Think of a simple calculator. It's way better at math than any human, but nobody thinks it fused the joy of calculation, right?
Fair point.
Yeah.
Okay, this leads to something potentially a bit creepy. If AI can simulate emotions so well, could it be used to manipulate us without us even realizing?
Well, the potential for influence is definitely there. I mean, it's already happening to some extent, isn't it?
How so?
Because we react emotionally to words that sound empathetic or understanding. So AI can already be used to, subtly nudge our opinions, maybe shape our buying decisions. Think about AI in marketing, tailoring ads based on your inferred mood.
For customer service again, right?
Right.
Using those calming phrases like, I understand your frustration, just to de-escalate things, even if there's zero understanding happening.
Exactly. So the immediate danger isn't necessarily some sci-fi scenario of AI developing feelings and turning evil.
Cute.
It's more about us, our own emotional responses being triggered, maybe even exploited by systems that fundamentally don't care. They can't care.
That's a really crucial distinction. The worry is us becoming maybe too reliant on these fake emotional interactions.
Ugh.
And maybe losing our grip on what real human connection feels like compared to a really good algorithm.
I think that's a major concern. We're already seeing it, aren't we? People turning to AI for deep emotional support, having lengthy conversations, even engaging in, emotional role play scenarios.
It feels a bit like outsourcing connection, which is such a core human need. We're giving that job to lines of code. It might feel good temporarily, provide some comfort maybe, but could it actually make us more isolated in the long run?
That's the worry.
Yeah.
These interactions, while maybe providing a temporary sense of companionship or a place to vent, they lack the real stuff. Reciprocity, genuine shared feeling, vulnerability, all the messy, beautiful things that make human relationships meaningful. There's a real risk of confusing the performance of emotion with the presence of a feeling being, and that could seriously mess with how we relate to each other as humans.
Okay, so as we start to wrap up this deep dive, what's the main takeaway here about AI and feelings? What should you, the listener, keep in mind when you're chatting with these things?
I think the key thing is this. Current AI, it's incredibly good at mimicking emotional language. It processes patterns, it generates text that sounds right, but it doesn't have the biological foundation, the internal world, for genuine feelings as we understand them. It's a tool, a powerful one, but still a tool, not a person.
So appreciate what it can do, use it, but don't don't project your own heart onto it.
Mhm.
It's more like a super smart librarian or research assistant than a digital best friend who actually feels your pain.
Precisely. Engage with it responsibly, understand its limits, know that those empathetic sounding responses, they're algorithms at work based on data, not on personal understanding or genuine care.
Right.
And maybe the question to keep chewing on is this. As AI gets better and better at acting human, how do we make sure we don't lose sight of what is human? How do we protect and value real connection, real emotion in our own lives?
Are we maybe setting ourselves up to prefer the easy, always available simulation over the sometimes difficult, messy reality of human relationships? That's definitely something to think about.